How's it going, everybody? This is the Hammered Airsoft Smith bringing you the WE M92F Samurai Edge. It's the STARS RPD Special Team Edition. If you played the Resident Evil games, this is the standard issue. And this is the one that Jill uses in the remake. It's a pretty gun, man. It's pretty. The looks are and everything. Believe it or not, before I became a 1911 guy, I was an M9 guy, and it was purely because of the Resident Evil franchise. I grew up playing the Resident Evil games. After a while, they got kind of corny because it became more about action and multiplayer. And I think the multiplayer thing should have been introduced a lot earlier in the actual survival horror genre instead of this action movie bullshit. But as you can see, it's a little worn. Put it through its paces. Unfortunately, I have a slight issue with the pistol, and it's the hop. A few days ago, when I was testing the pistol out, giving it a function test, the hop broke. Yeah, the hop rubber, the little nub that sticks out the top that you can adjust, that broke. But it doesn't seem to really be affecting its performance. And I'm not too concerned. And I think the WE M9s are actually based off of the HFC M9 series pistols. Because before I had this, I had a Special Forces by HFC. I still have 3 magazines from it. And then, yeah, that pistol was select fire. I made a wooden stock for it, and it had a rail. And I used to have a foregrip on it, so it was kind of like a little machine pistol. It was pretty freaking sweet. But that ended up being stolen. But looking at the way this is compared to the way that is, it's almost identical, the internals, except that one didn't have adjustable hub. This one does. Well, used to. Today I'll be shooting a warmer load, I guess you could say. A heavier load. I'll be shooting 23s. I never used 23s before. So, until today, prior to the video. So, let's see how it fares. You got your safety here. It's ambidextrous. It's kind of a big handgun for me. It's semi-automatic only, and it's a double action pistol. But after your first fire, the hammer comes back and stays back until you either drop it or the pistol doesn't have a decogger, although it should. And it's got 3 white dot sights. M9s are cool, and they disassemble pretty easily. You got your takedown lever here. That's pretty much it. I already have reviews and everything on it, which is why I'm not getting into great detail. But no chit chat. I got the can lid. I got the big ass blue liquor bottle. I got the little white bottle on a stick, and now I got a car mirror that I found out in the woods. It's loaded. One in the chamber. I'll drop the hammer. And this is not the original magazine. This is an HFC magazine for the M9 Special Forces. We're having a malfunction. With this magazine at least. The pistol seems to cycle just fine, but for some reason, maybe it comes down to a combination between the magazine not being specifically for the gun. Dimensions might be slightly off. Used to work just fine, but now I'm thinking it might be the hop. I'm shooting, it's making a weird noise. It's expelling a little bit of gas at the top, but in a weird way, not in a normal way. And I saw one of the BBs, or maybe two possibly, just kind of at the barrel and then go limp. So, one in the chamber. Right? Yep. That one just fell out. Didn't lock back. And like I said in previous videos, especially in the review, all the magazines I had for it used to work just fine. So I think it's coming down to the hop. This is the original Samurai Edge magazine that came with the pistol. Did much better with the original magazine, but it still seemed to be a little off. And you'll see. Oh. This is tricky. There. What? See that? So I've heard horror stories about these M9s, Samurai Edges from WE, and I don't know, whatever happens, happens. You know? I'm gonna load up some magazines. If you look in the description for these recent shooting videos, you'll see that these are more of introduction demonstration type videos. They're not like actual, you know, let's go to the fucking range and you know, make shit happen kind of videos. And what I mean by that is like, that's why they're not full length videos. That's why they're only like maybe somewhere between 3, 10 or 14 minutes long, depending if I feel like ranting about something. I put 15 in the magazines, as opposed to like the 20 something that they can, I think it's like 22 or 25 they can hold. And one of the reasons why I put the actual capacity, in the pistol compared to the real steel firearm, the reason why I do that is to simulate. Because the whole thing to me about Airsoft that I love is the simulation of real steel firearms. I'm actually kind of picky about what Airsoft guns I get. They need to have a specific way. They need to have a pretty realistic, specific way of being field stripped, and they need to be able to function and stuff like that, like the real steel ones. So that way, when you transition to real steel, it won't be such a huge step for you. Because if you're putting, like, this is a standard M9 magazine. If you're putting 20 some rounds in this, right, as opposed to 17 or 15 like the real steel in this type of magazine, you're going to be used to shooting 22 something rounds, whereas you go to the real steel and you're going to be like, it's going to be different, because you're going to be used to shooting more. You're going to be used to the magazine holding more, when really that's not the case. And when you switch to real steel, it's like, you understand what I'm getting with that? Some people are going to think that's stupid. That's fine. That's your prerogative. That's your opinion. I don't really give a fuck, but that's the way I'm looking at it. We're going to go another round. It's a little snappy, but it's a different type of snappy than like what the 1911s have. 1911 it's a lighter gun, I feel. And where this is heavier, it's a little bit bulkier, but the slide is lighter in a way because it's heavily ported. As you see, most of the barrel is exposed, which I feel could be problematic, especially if something gets into those little mortises in there. This is the HFC mag. Maybe it needs to be broken in. I don't know. I'm trying to be optimistic. Little awkward for me, because I do have smaller hands, but tends to be shooting a little low, so I do have to hold a little bit higher. Good morning. Sounded like that was running low on gas, and I wasn't sure if there was any ammo left in there, which is why I did that. The HFC magazine did better that time. I don't recall any of them just rolling out and going limp. sweet, man. Yeah. Yeah. Overall, it is pretty sweet, man. I mean, it seems to be a little finicky prior to the video. I had went to go use some reloads in it just to kind of test it out. It was very finicky about reloads, whereas the WE 1911s, they don't seem to give a fuck-face shit about reloads. They kind of just like, you ain't gonna stop me today. But this one, it could either be the way the pistol is designed upstairs, or it could be the magazines. The magazines were a little bit on the dirtier side. I had to clean them, dry them out, blah 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 blah. Where you load the BBs, not the whole magazine itself, like the inside, the reservoir, and everything like that. But yeah, it's all right. And I could see that there's a difference too when I use the HFC magazine. I don't know if you guys can notice, but even in the sound, when I use the HFC magazine, it seems to be a little bit softer, kind of like almost like it's suppressed. Whereas the original magazine had more of a robust oomph, kind of force to be reckoned with kind of recoil for an airsoft pistol. And it seemed to be shooting a little bit more accurate, like it's producing enough gas, or the way it should. I don't know, man. I'm kind of leaning more towards. I don't. It's okay. You know, it's not bad. It's not crap. You know. Any issues that it has, I'm just gonna lay down to the hop, because prior to the hop falling apart and not using the magazines for a while, it worked fucking fantastic. Since the hop broke, it does okay with its original magazine. Actually, it does just fine with the original magazine, and it does okay with the HFC magazine. So sometime in the future, when I do actual shooting videos, I will have more magazines loaded up, and we'll spend a lot more time with these pistols. So there you have it, man. The M92F Samurai Edge by WE. Gas blowback airsoft pistol, full metal. I named her Jill. And it's been real, man. It's been cool. It really has. So thanks a lot for watching, and peace.